They've walked our planet for millions of years. And today, one rhino species has just 5 members left because poachers will kill to get their hands on a rhino's horn. So do rhinos have a future? And why are their horns more valuable than gold? To find out, I visit Africa to photograph and investigate. Wildlife is under threat like never before. Man-made climate change, habitat loss, and illegal poaching are devastating the world's environments. We've lost half the animal species on the planet in the last 40 years, and all large marine life could become extinct by 2050. I'm Sean Lee-Davies, a photographer, filmmaker, and conservationist with a passion for adventure. I've photographed some of Asia's most glamorous celebrities, and now I'm turning my camera on nature's true beauty. I'm out to showcase the glory of the natural world and raise critical awareness about poaching and exploitation. Join me on Adventures to the Edge. It's estimated that the rhino first appeared on our planet around 50 million years ago, a relic from another era. Today, this prehistoric species holds on. With weathered skin, massive horns, and weighing up to 3.5 tons, they are surprisingly agile and can charge up to 50 kilometers per hour. In Africa, there are 2 main species of rhino, the black and white. The black numbers around 5,000 in the wild, while the white has over 20,000. Crucially, only 5 remain of the Northern White Rhino. These days, man is the greatest threat to the rhino. Staggeringly, it's estimated that a rhino is killed every 8 hours by poachers who take the horns and leave them mutilated, as I discovered for myself in South Africa. Behind me is a large female adult white rhino that was shot 3 or 4 days ago. In South Africa alone, poaching is up 9,300% in less than a decade. Driving this rise is money, much of the demand coming from Asia. And since 2014, there has been an 18% rise in rhino poaching.
Some people became very wealthy there, and they wanted to show how wealthy they were, so they started to import large quantities of rhino horns from South Africa, and they started to cut it up into little pieces and powder and put it in drinks and food to show off. Rhino horn is mainly made up of keratin, very similar to your fingernails. The whole thing with rhinos is one word: money. If we don't understand that, just forget it.
I'm on a journey to create a fine art photography exhibition to raise awareness in Asia about the demand for rhino horn that is threatening to exterminate the entire species. To find out why rhinos have become more valuable dead than alive, I visit the Big Life Foundation in Amboseli National Park, where a poacher turned gamekeeper gives me a unique insight into the poaching crisis. What did you actually kill when you were a poacher?
I killed rhino.
You killed rhino?
Yeah.
Black rhino, white rhino?
Black rhino.
As a teenager, Justice hunted rhinos with his father using poisoned arrows, but he wasn't prepared for the consequences. Ironically, when his father was killed by a charging rhino, Justice decided to become a ranger instead. If a poacher's watching this TV show, what would be your message to him?
Conservation good, animals are good. As a man, God created a man to take care of the creation.
Poachers, though, are at the bottom of the economic food chain. It's wealthy middlemen and Asian buyers who are driving increased demand for the horns. I speak with Big Life's co-founder Richard Bonham to see if there are any alternatives to satisfy the demand for rhino horn. There is an argument for farming rhinos to keep up with the demand for rhino horn.
I'll never keep up with it. They'll never keep up with it. I don't believe that. But I think we've reached a stage where there's so few rhinos that, you know, the price is just going to continue to go up. And then you even get people saying that there's guys out there betting on extinction. You can imagine if you can get yourself a haul of rhino horn, they go extinct, and you know, you're sitting on a lot of money.
In my pursuit of photographing rhinos in the wild and finding out how to reverse a worrying trend, I cross the stunning Kenyan countryside and head west to the Nanyuki region near Mount Kenya. I arrive at Mukima House, a secluded former ranch home which has been beautifully renovated, maintaining its old country charm. It's the perfect base from which to explore the region. From here I visit the Lewa Conservancy. Established in the early 80s and spread over 37,000 hectares, Lewa is home to a dazzling variety of wildlife, including 12% of Kenya's entire black rhino population. I'm here on this incredible viewpoint overlooking the magnificent Lewa Conservancy. And the main reason for coming here is to see how the people at Lewa converted an old, rickety, desolate cattle ranch into one of the most successful conservancies in Africa. Ian Craig, co-founder of Lewa, takes me up for a quick flight so I can get acquainted with the area. Amidst the breathtaking scenery, elephant and rhino roam the expansive grasslands. It's a mind-blowing sight, but it also highlights how difficult it is to keep these endangered animals safe in such a vast area.
Kenya's rhino have gone from 20,000 to 200, and we established a sanctuary for rhino. It was the first of its kind in East Africa. We started off with 13 rhino, and here we are today with 145 odd rhino. To keep rhino alive, they have to be within a contained area, within a fence. It can be big, it can be very big, but you have to have a boundary. Then you need men on the ground, good men on the ground. Rhino, unless you've got millions of dollars behind you to protect them, they're dead.
Do you think that rhinos should be farmed for their horn?
I don't. I can resonate with the thinking of it, but where I have a problem with farming rhino is that it's feeding demand. The rhino horn issue, it's a deep cultural belief, as you know. How do you influence cultural beliefs? It's law enforcement. I don't believe we're going to change that belief. In a series of generations, we will just have mini zoos here at the current rate. Why does it matter? It's just a route to extinction for all of us. It's just the writing on the wall. It's elephant today, something else tomorrow, something else the next day. Eventually it's us. There's a message in this.
All the black rhinos at Lewa are wild, with the exception of 3 young rhino orphans who get round-the-clock care. This image of the rhino in the wild is one of a dangerous, human-killing animal, but really, they don't want to kill us or harm us at all. They just want to stay out of our way. And when you get close to them, you realize just how adorable they are. I came to Lewa to see black rhinos in the wild. While giraffe, zebra and elephant are easy to find, the rhinos prove a bit more elusive. Finally though, I catch them grazing in the long grass. We're out in the middle of the savannah, and to my right is a female black rhino with her baby. The reason why I'm so excited is because until now I've only seen them in close proximity with their horns cut off, and they're cut off to protect them from poaching. So to actually see a black rhino in the wild with their full-grown horns, both of them, is really quite magnificent. They're an amazingly beautiful creature. And I'm not the only one enjoying the incredible wildlife. Lewa runs outreach programs for surrounding communities, giving local school children free tours of the park, so today's students become tomorrow's animal lovers.
We are offering a free program for the schools where we invite the schools to visit here for free, learn and appreciate the importance of conservation. We feel that by engaging them, then we have the future for the wildlife because we are engaging the future adults.
Does anyone here want to work with animals when they grow up? Does anyone here want to be a vet or a conservationist?
What do you want to do?
What do you want to work at?
Ranger.
You want to be a ranger? Because I think you like the guns, that's why. I also show some of the curious kids how to become a wildlife photographer. Meanwhile, in another part of the conservancy, my new rhino friends are hungry. They want their daily milk, a mixture of baby formula, water, and my expert bottle handling skills. They drink really quick. 6 pints in about half a minute. It's a lot of milk. After the milk, it's an early bedtime for the rhinos and time for me to return to Mikima House. I retire knowing that rhinos in the wild face long odds, but at conservancies such as Lewa, the future might be a little brighter. When Adventures to the Edge returns, there are only 5 northern white rhinos left on the planet, and I'm about to meet 3 of them. The rhino, a species that has survived for tens of millions of years, is now under threat like never before. Illegal poaching and an Asian demand for their horns could wipe them out forever. I'm on a journey across Kenya to learn more about these unique animals and to photograph them for my upcoming Project Sea Change exhibition aimed at raising awareness about endangered wildlife. That journey now takes me to Ol Jogi, a former cattle ranch that has been transformed by an American billionaire into one of Kenya's largest private conservancies. Within an hour of arriving, I catch my first glimpse of wild southern white rhinos. Absolutely incredible. We've got about 8 white rhinos here. It's just so wonderful to see them pretty much out in the wild. You can see they have their full horns and the horns haven't been chopped, and that's quite common these days to chop the horn of the rhino to protect them from the poachers. So just truly beautiful to see their long front tusks. Even though we're not allowed out of our vehicles, the southern whites are a sight to behold. Thanks to conservation efforts at the end of last century, they were growing in numbers, but now it's a constant struggle against poaching.
The rhino is an iconic species. To see it vanish before our very eyes is a big shame. The team here has sacrificed many years working day and night to conserve the species. Then they're killed overnight. That's really a low moment for everyone here.
In an effort to keep rhinos safe, Ol Jogi has extensive round-the-clock security to watch over several less fortunate rhinos, including a blind 6-year-old named Alfie. Rhinos don't have very good sight anyway. They rely heavily on their hearing, but obviously if he's blind, he wouldn't survive for very long in the wild at all. So this is quite an unusual experience. Even though Alfie is blind, his size and unpredictable nature still means we need to be careful. Alfie is, to all intents and purposes, totally wild, and the rangers found him walking into trees and bushes, and obviously realized that he'd lost his sight, and then they darted him and brought him into the boma here to preserve him, basically look after him so he has a good life. Rhinos are under such threat that conservancies such as Ol Jogi have to spend huge sums of money to protect them. Alfie's boma is surrounded by high-voltage electric fencing and linked to a central command station. Nearby, I meet with Alfie's keeper, Sai Kong, who graciously invites me into his home. Will he always be looking after Alfie?
Unafikiria kwa muda Alfie atakuwa hapa utakuwa tu unamchunga?
Kabisa nachunga tu kabisa.
Yeah, he thinks he'll always be here with taking care of Alfie.
Until Alfie dies?
Yeah. Mpaka Alfie labda atatuondokea.
Kazi usiairi kama ukienda tayari.
Yeah, he says that he will be taking care of him until either he goes for retire or Alfie departs from this world.
Because rhinos can live a long time, right?
Yeah.
How many years can they live?
They can live up to 40 years.
Oh dear, it's a long time.
Yeah.
Rhino poaching is so serious that rangers have a shoot-to-kill policy. And rangers are often caught in the line of fire, with 27 killed in Africa in 2013. Often the poachers are ex-colleagues, friends, or even neighbors. This ranger, codenamed Tango 1, has seen it all firsthand.
There is one day they come even my house. They want me to kill.
They want to kill you at your
Yes, when I go off. Because they know when I saw him, I will arrest him. So I'm the enemy of these people.
If a poacher was going to kill a rhino, would you risk your life for the rhino?
The time I see the rhino, because when this rhino born, I know him very well until they come big. When I saw the poacher kill that rhino, I feel so bad.
A new deterrent being used to thwart poachers is the use of guard dogs. When Delta 2 goes on patrol, he takes Falcon, a specially trained German Malinois. Now, can the dogs sniff out a poacher from, say, a few hundred yards? I mean, how close do the poachers have to be?
Okay, it can see, it can detect the scent maybe about 500 meters away. And when you're in ambush, you just notice some few signs that there is a different thing, different soundings, and that by that time you just release it.
To test out Falcon's abilities, I decide to pose in the bush as a poacher. You looked pretty fierce, you looked pretty game earlier on, so just hope I'm strong enough to withhold his bite. He's got a ferocious bite, that dog. These guard dogs are highly effective because trying to outrun them at 35 kilometers an hour is virtually impossible. I give it another try to make sure the Falcon wasn't just lucky the first time round. That was quite something. It really rips your arm off. So you just saw Falcon taking me down pretty convincingly, and once he grabs you, there's no way he's going to let go. The fact that the poachers know that these trained dogs are here is definitely a massive deterrent, and probably one of the reasons why Ol Jogi is so effective at keeping the poachers out. If I still want to have my arm by the end of the trip, it's probably time to leave. Poaching has become a deadly war, involving casualties on both sides, and it's time to let them get on with their work. A few hours away is Ol Pejeta, a massive conservancy where 12,000 wild animals roam free. Here too, poaching is a primary threat. Armed guards are clearly visible, and trained dogs are on constant high alert. It's almost like a military setup in terms of security.
I think it has to be to a degree militarised, because when you're dealing with poachers who are constantly evolving, and as fast as we evolve, they evolve, we have to move one step ahead constantly, which is why we do what we do.
While watching top security dogs Madison and Quake in action, I breathed a sigh of relief that I didn't volunteer this time. One of the reasons why security is so tight at this 37,000-hectare conservancy is because it's home to Niger, Fatu, and Sudan, the last three surviving northern white rhinos in Africa. This subspecies of rhino will soon be gone from our planet forever. I meet with CEO Richard Vine, who arrived here 17 years ago and turned Ol Pejeta into the largest conservancy in East Africa. How does that make you feel, knowing that they are the last of a species?
Well, it's an indictment of the human race. They used to be prolific across North and Central Africa. And unfortunately for them, their range was in places which have been insecure for long periods of time. So we're talking about Central Africa, the Congo, Sudan, those kinds of places. As a result of which, it's been easy for humans to poach them and kill them for their horn. That poaching process is driven by demand. Demand for rhino horn is now such that the price payable for rhino horn in those countries which demand it is equivalent to the price of cocaine or gold. And the countries where most of the rhino horn goes to is in the Far East. So Vietnam is a big consumer, but a lot of the Far Eastern countries are consuming rhino horn in particular.
What does it matter to people in Asia or around the world if a rhino species goes extinct? Because many species have gone extinct in the past.
The truth of the matter is the human race will continue to exist quite happily without rhinos on this planet. 99% of all the species that have ever existed on planet Earth have gone extinct. So in real terms, it doesn't matter, but I think this is a signal to what humans are doing to planet Earth. So leave aside rhinos, but let's consider the environment as a whole. And if we don't start as a human race taking a little bit more care about that, then I think that, as you can see with climate change and rising sea levels and that kind of stuff, we're all going to be in some trouble.
I'll admit, I'm feeling the pressure knowing that I'm photographing the last of a species. It's an incredible privilege to see these northern white rhinos in action up close. I also notice other qualities, how graceful they are in spite of their size, and how gentle they are despite their appearance. So every day you have a photo shoot with two giant rhinos. Before I leave Ol Pejeta, I pay a visit to Sudan, the last living male northern white rhino on the planet. I love watching these guys. They're so magnetic and really, I mean, they can be quite ferocious in the wild, but when you get up close, they're quite personable. But take a good look at him. He's 42-year-old Sudan, the last male of his species. And it's a fairly sad indictment that the human race has led to the extinction of the species. It really is totally unnecessary. Let's hope we can do better for the other remaining rhino species in the wild. Next time on Adventures to the Edge, I go lion tracking in search of the big prides to find out why even lions and big cats are under threat across Africa. And I take a couple of colorful detours along the way.